Welcome to tonight's Board of Appeals hearing. Before we begin, let me introduce some members of town government that act as advisors to this board. To my left is Paul Hennings, counsel to the board. To his left is David Flynn, assistant planning director. To his left is Blaise Donadio, a planner in the planning department. Now let me tell you why you're here tonight. New York State statute requires that any town that adopts zoning must also have a Board of Appeals to act as a relief valve, so that those persons aggrieved by strict application of the zoning ordinance can seek relief without the expense of going to court. Town board can give Board of Appeals additional powers, such as special exceptions, site plan approval, etc. In Smithtown, the town board has given this board authority regarding certificate of existing use and some special exception uses. The most common kind of application before us are area variances. Area variances deal with dimension, lot area, frontage, height, setbacks, and parking spaces. New York State statute mandates that the board must consider the following 5 criteria in area variances. When you come to the podium to present your application, you need to address these areas. They're posted here for you. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. Number 2, whether the applicant has other feasible alternatives. Number 3, whether the variance is substantial. Number 4, whether an adverse impact on the environment will be created. And number 5, whether the alleged difficulty is self-created. The statute requires the board to balance the interest of the applicant and those of the neighborhood or community. This statute further requires that the board shall grant the minimum variance shall deem necessary and adequate, and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The board has the power to impose reasonable conditions for granting variances. Special exception applications are different than area variances. When we have a special exception application before us, I will explain the criteria. Regarding procedure, when your case is called, please come up when they're advertised. Come up with your affidavits and mailing receipts and give them to Mr. Donadio, and you will be sworn in at the podium. And then you will be given the opportunity to explain to this board why you need the variance. If the applicant is done speaking, all interested parties will be given one opportunity and only one opportunity to be heard. So please, organize your thoughts. Keep your remarks factual that are related to the case. And then I will ask the applicant to come back to the podium to answer your concerns. The board will then close the case and reserve decision. After all the hearings are closed, the board will review the cases and decide some of them. Others will be reviewed at a later date. There are 3 ways to find out the results of the case. Number 1, you can wait until after the public hearing, but there's no guarantee that the board will act on your case tonight. Number 2, you can call the planning department tomorrow afternoon. And 3, applicants can wait and be notified by mail. We do have some adjournments. Okay. Case 17169, Florence DeGorio. Is anyone here for that case? All right. She has withdrawn her variance. Okay? No, because she's withdrawing. She's not asking for the variance anymore. Okay? Thank you. All right, and the other case is West Development Partners, 17022. That has been adjourned to September 9th. Okay? Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first case on the agenda, number 17164, Melissa Reeson. Location of the property is 31 Noack Lane, the southeast corner of Ward Drive and Noack Lane in Smithtown. The property is zoned R10. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the front yard setback on Ward Drive from 20 feet from pavement to 0 from property line for a proposed 6-foot fence.
You ready? You have to hand this up? good.
Okay, may I have your name, please?
Eric Risen. I'm the homeowner at 31 Noack Lane. Oh, Eric Risen. I'm the homeowner at 31 Noack Lane.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
I'm here to request the approval to expand my fence out an additional section, which would be 8 feet, which would go to my property line, which would still leave over 10 feet to the curb. My reasoning for doing this is that I have 3 young children. I've been a teacher in this district for over 14 years, and I understand the importance of physical activity. My children have taken a huge interest in sports, and my goal in the expansion of the fence is for them not to make the major leagues or the Olympics, but just to be able to make a middle school team and a high school team so they're busy after school. That is my reason for expanding the fence out. There's still 10 feet to the curb, and I'm just willing to go to my property line based on my deed. I want to go with a 6-foot fence for obvious privacy reasons. I understand that I could put a 4-foot fence and work the system with shrubbery. However, when I moved into the house, there was shrubbery there, and it led to a lot of kids parking there, leaving needles, broken bottles, condoms, and having their dogs do their business on my side property. I'm walking my kids to the bus, and this is what they're seeing. That is my reason. Again, we're big into physical activity. I have a tremendous amount of sporting equipment in the backyard. And in today's times, you don't see the pickup games in the street like when I was a child growing up here. It's my responsibility as a father to teach my children and allow them the opportunity to play these fun sport games and not be inside on iPads and doing whatever else technology offers today. Again, it's still 10 feet to the curb with this minor expansion. I'm asking to go out 8 floor tiles and leave 10 more tiles to the curb. That's my reasoning for being here tonight.
Okay. As you know, we visit all the properties. Okay. Planning?
Madam Chair, the Planning Department recommends that this application be denied for a few reasons. First is we believe that it would be unfair to people who were in similar circumstances in the past who were denied. Second is it may tend to set an undesirable precedent. The circumstances with respect to the property don't seem to be dissimilar to corner properties in general. Third, the property was made 20 feet oversized because it's a corner lot in order to get the same size rear yard as interior lots on the street. And then lastly is it appears that this would have a deleterious effect on the character of the neighborhood if this and similar properties had the 6-foot fences.
Okay. My understanding, this case was heard a while ago.
Correct.
And at that time, we approved it to 9 feet with the understanding that there would be plantings in front of the fence. 9
Correct.
feet from the
Correct.
property line. Did you realize that?
I did realize that, but I also realized the amount of teenagers and cars that are parked there because of the shrubbery. And I've had numerous altercations with these kids. We've had police contact. We've had neighbors complain based on it. And again, I'm going outside and seeing broken glass. I went out once and encountered these kids, and the next night my fence was vandalized.
Any
So
other
we're not
questions?
here about shrubbery. Because there's no other shrubbery on fences around my development.
I think the reason that the fence, did you live there in 2004?
No.
No.
So the previous owner had come in and asked for a reduction in the front yard, realizing that you didn't have a big enough backyard and wanted to expand the backyard. One of the requirements of this board at that time was to put the shrubbery not to shield you guys from the street, but to shield the fence from neighbors, because The stance the town board has taken in Smithtown is that they want to protect the residential character of the neighborhood and the town that we live in. That's why when we grant variances to reduce the setbacks for fences, we'll routinely require trees and shrubs to go in front of the fence, so we don't wind up being a neighborhood with all just fences and no trees anymore, which is why it's actually a requirement, not something that you may or may not want to have there. It's actually a requirement that you keep those trees there, or that fence has to go back to the previous distance, or you can go to a 4-foot fence.
I'm sorry, you cannot speak unless I swear you in.
The 4-foot fence really offers no privacy. And the fence faces another fence across the street. It doesn't face a house, okay? It faces another fence across the street. This is the shrubbery you're talking about?
No, it will be type 2, which is this, Dave could expand on it, but it's a pretty standard.
Standard.
They're like arborvitaes or cedars, upright yews.
The intent of the shrubbery is to hide the fence from view from the street so that it gives that open residential character.
It gives, but, so you're allowing, you're inviting unfamiliar cars to park there. This is, okay, this is something different that I didn't really realize we'd be talking about tonight. But again, when I walk my children out, there's broken glass, needles. Daddy, Daddy, there's someone parking out there. The radio is on. I'm going out there. Because of shrubbery. Okay?
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Any other questions, gentlemen?
No, thanks.
All right, thank you. We'll let you know. Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Okay. You can come up on this application. Come up, please. You're going to have to pull that microphone down. Okay. Let me have your name, please.
My name is Helen Kehoe, K-E-H-O-E.
Okay, and your address?
It is 4 Ward Drive, Smithtown.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I swear I will tell the
Okay.
whole truth. Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned,
And try to
I'm
use the
sorry,
mic.
Forgive me.
Yeah.
Okay. I brought a copy of the previously in 204.
Yes.
The actual same request was made.
Yes.
And a decision was made by the
Right.
town board.
This
And
board, it was made by this board.
That's exactly correct. I believe some of the members are still on the board.
Yes.
And I have gone through the information. I have a copy of the decision.
We have
if
it
I
right
may.
here,
Oh,
too,
you do? Okay.
with us.
Okay. So I went through, the decision was made that there was a setback allowed, but a certain amount had to be, the setback could not be, in other words, you allowed 9 feet
Yes.
to be included in the property at 31 Noack Lane. And you also requested a fence. They wanted a 6-foot fence. You allowed the 6-foot fence.
Right.
The stipulation was that there would be arborvitae evergreen
Right.
covering. There was, at that point in time, about a year ago, the resident at 31 Noack Lane was taking them out. I went over to him and explained that there was a variance. And he said, well, he was concerned about this, but I shouldn't worry. He was going to take down these high things and put something in that I would really like. Okay, sounded all right to me. Then he was going to put in shrubs. I went about 2 or 3 weeks ago on a Sunday afternoon. I saw the gentleman working, and I went over to say hello and how are the shrubs coming. He said, "Oh, I'm moving out and I'm putting in a fence." And I said, "Well, you really can't do that." And I went inside and I showed him the variance, the town variance that we had. And I advised him that he was actually out of compliance because the arborvitae, et cetera, were not there, and the town, he was not in compliance with the town. So I actually recommended that he go to the town and have you decide again. But it's basically the same request that was made and 10 years ago. And the board made a decision on it at that point in time.
Right.
And that's how I feel there.
Thank
Okay?
you. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Do you want to come back?
Does he want to come back?
I don't know. Do you want to say?
Do you want to come back? All right, come back, answer her concerns. The concerns?
The fence that I have here now has to be replaced. Whether it stays in the same spot or my request is granted, shrubbery will be put there, okay? I also understand because of being on a corner, show the corner with all those stuff that we could look at. I understand with the fence on a corner and oncoming traffic and bicyclists and everything. When we moved in, on the front corner, there's all this. There's all this. The fence is going down this way. I'll rip all that out and plant grass for even more visibility for oncoming traffic, bicyclists, and children riding their bikes especially. I'm willing to do whatever it takes just to gain that additional small amount of feet into my backyard. I'll put shrubs there either way if it's in compliance. That's fine. I guess I'll have to deal with the traffic again. That's not why I want to stress that's not why I'm here. I'm here for the additional space for the safety of my children and physical activity in my backyard. The shrubbery will not be a problem. And like I said, I'm willing to rip out that whole corner island in front of my yard so it's even more open for visibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes.
The survey shows a shed in the front yard on Ward Drive near the corner. Is that there?
That was, yeah.
Is it still there?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay, it just seems odd. It's not permitted. It must have been granted a variance, I guess, at a different year.
I'll take whatever. I don't have a variance
Okay,
for it.
I just
Question for you. Do you know how far from the curb the fence currently is? Because it's not depicted on the
Yes.
survey.
Right now, my fence is
I think it's 19.
19 feet from the curb.
Okay.
So it's back
Just
to
because
90.
the
Show the
town
picture.
code has changed since the previous grant. It used to be a 40-foot front yard. I believe now it's 20 feet
Yes.
from the curb. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Is readily moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Madam Chair, the next case, number 17165, David Rakowski, 65 Cornell Drive. The location of the property, the east side of Cornell Drive, 115 feet north of Shelby Court in Smithtown. The property is zoned R10. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 50 to 48 feet for a proposed 483 square foot first floor addition and 483 square foot basement addition. Permit environmentally sensitive land, depth of groundwater less than 10 feet to be altered.
Hi. May I have your name, please?
John Kramer,
And the applicant? Oh, I need the applicant first. Thank you. May I have your name, please?
David Rakowski, R-A-I-K-O-W-S-K-I,
Good. And your address?
65 Cornell Drive, Smithtown.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Would you like this gentleman to speak for you?
I would.
Thank you. Now, let me have your name, and would you spell your last name for me?
John Kramer, C-R-A-M-E-R,
And your address?
20 Spencer Way, Kings Park.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, you want to tell us why you're here, please?
We are here to ask for a reduced rear yard setback from 50 feet to 48 feet. Also, after we had applied for the variance, the building department had notified us on the rear yard setback variance. In the process, we were also notified about being at what's called low groundwater. or high groundwater, sorry.
Yeah.
That was during the process, so we still maintained this hearing date. So that's also being asked for, whatever variance is required for that.
Right. Well, I don't have, anything from the health department, so that's why we don't have anything from the environmental department. Did you have a test hole done?
Yes, Saturday, the homeowner received a letter from the Environmental and Waterways, Smithtown, to ask for that information. We did have a soil boring made last week for groundwater. So I do have those results here if you'd like them.
Just tell me what the results are, if you can.
We drilled to 17 feet, no water, dry.
Okay. Okay. Planning?
Just a question. It looked like the plans were set up for an apartment. Is that the case?
No, it's a rear family room with a 3-piece bathroom in the rear extension. It's I believe it's like a 9 or a 10-foot opening to the dining room.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, any other questions? Okay, thank you so much. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Really moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Madam Chair, the next case, number 17166, Arthur Seltenreich, 66 Mowbray Lane. The location of the property, the south side of Mowbray Lane, 200 feet west of Ledgewood Drive in Smithtown. The property is zoned R21. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 50 to 45 feet for an existing 98 square foot porch.
May I have your name, please?
Arthur J. Seltenreich,
And your address, please?
66 Mowbray Lane, Smithtown.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, you want to tell us why you're here, please?
Okay. We have an existing front porch that's covered that apparently was built at the time the house was built in 1959, 5 feet too close to the property line. So we're requesting that the town grant a variance on that situation. There's a lot of covered porches in the neighborhood. It fits right in. We've done a lot of work to the house and actually have improved the property over the years that we've been there. To fix it, I think it would require ripping out the concrete block that's holding the porch, and it would be pretty substantial in cost and probably would detract from the appearance of the home. So the request is only 5 feet and would have no adverse effects at all on the environment. Wasn't self-created. We purchased the home in this manner, and in fact, it was built in that manner because we bought the house from my in-laws, so it's always been this way.
Planning? Gentlemen? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Very moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Madam Chair, the next case, number 17167, Sharon Ross, formerly known as Sharon Zimmerman. Location, 2 Raven Drive in Comac. The location of the property is the southwest corner of Ronde Drive and Raven Drive. The property is zoned R15. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 45 to 15 feet for an existing 120 square foot shed, increase the front yard paving on Raven Drive from 25 to 45% existing.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Erwin Eisen. I'm the attorney for the applicant Sharon Ross, who stands before you today. I want to have her sworn in case.
Okay. Want to come up to the mic, please? Let me have your name
Sharon Ross,
and your address, Sharon.
2 Raven Drive, Comac.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you so much.
Madam Chairman, on behalf of Ms. Ross, we seek a variance to maintain the existing front yard shed and the front yard pavement that exists next to the driveway. According to the criteria, there is no undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. This is strictly a residential community. A shed to house pool equipment and the extension of a driveway in the residential community are in conformity with the residential community and maintain the character of that community. The benefit here cannot be obtained through alternate means because, as you will note, the property is a corner piece. So the pool is in the backyard, the shed is adjacent to the pool, and unfortunately, it just falls within the other front yard of a corner piece of property. As far as the driveway is maintained in the front of the property, so we can't move the driveway to the side or the rear of the property. The variance requested herein appears to be substantial for the shed only because, again, it's a corner piece of property. So with two front yards, it looks as though you're asking for a substantial variance when, in fact, because of the corner piece, we ask that you consider that factor. As far as the driveway, we cannot do anything with the driveway, moving it. It must remain in the front of the property. There is no adverse effect in the neighborhood because, again, it maintains a strictly residential community and residential character, and the hardship has been created by the applicant, so we ask that you grant the variance.
Thank you. Planning?
Just two thoughts, Madam Chair. With respect to the shed, it appears that there are alternative locations that would be less impacting. With respect to the paving, I think that it's not really substantial because even though it's going from 25 to 45%, that's only one of the two frontages, and the other frontage is larger and doesn't have any paving. So if you combine them, the paved area is really like 20% or less.
Okay. Gentlemen? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Levy moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Madam Chair, the next case, number 17168, Regency Homes of Long Island. The location of the property is the west side of Lakeview Drive, 620 feet north of Tulip Drive in Kings Park. The property is zoned R10. The applicant requests the variance to reduce the minimum lot area from 10,000 square feet to 4,000 square feet, increase the maximum gross floor area from 25 to 42%, reduce the minimum north side yard setback from 12 feet to 8 feet, reduce the minimum south side yard setback from 12 feet to 8 feet, and total side yards from 28 to 16 feet, reduce the minimum rear yard from 35 to 30 feet, reduce the minimum lot frontage at setback line from 75 to 40 feet for a 1,470 square foot, two-story dwelling with 191 square foot attached garage.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. I've submitted the affidavits of posting and mailing to David Flynn. I've also submitted for the board's perusal a document which goes into the number of 40-foot lots since 2009 backwards to about 1970. There's about 35 lots there within an 800-foot radius. The property's in single and separate ownership. I've given the single and separate search in advance to Paul Hennings. Hopefully he's reviewed it and can inform the board that in fact this property is in single and separate ownership since 1928. The same family, as a matter of fact, owns the property. It hasn't even been given from one party or sold from one party to another. It has remained in the family for that many years. The next thing I'd like to just put on the record is we have a statute or an ordinance in the town of Smithtown, 322-74. It's called nonconforming lots. And basically it says a nonconforming lot may be used or a building structure may be erected on such lot for use in accordance with all other applicable provisions of this chapter. upon the approval of this board or the Board of Appeals, provided that at all times subsequent to the date of any ordinance making such lot nonconforming, that such lot has been separately owned in good faith and does not or did not adjoin any lot or land in the same ownership or end, I should say end, I'm sorry, does not or did not adjoin any lot under the same practical or effective ownership, whether or not the incidents of title are or were the same. This probably is one of the few lots that I can say that not only has it not been involved with any other lot, not a rear yard, not a side yard, but the same family, as I indicated, has owned it since 1928. As the board knows, there was no zoning in Smithtown at all until 1932. In 1932, the first zoning ordinance was promulgated in the town. At that point, well, it wasn't even in 1932 that made these lots nonconforming, because in 32 we were density zoned, a different kind of zoning than we have today. But right now this property or this area is zoned R10, which the board knows is 10,000 square foot requirement, and it can be 75 by 125. Most lots are 100 foot in depth in San Remo. But the issue or the problem was many years ago, again, as the board knows, people bought lots. They came from the city and they wanted summer homes. So they bought whatever they could afford. And many people bought 3, 4 lots, 2 lots. They were advertised in the Il Progresso Italian newspaper, and I think they were $1 down and $1 a week. And you paid them, as they used to say, on time, and ultimately you got a deed. Well, that's what happened with this piece. And since that time, 1928, to the present time, this family, this family has owned the property, and it's been in single and separate ownership. Now, I ask the board, when they get a chance, to take a look at all the lots that we have listed here that are 40-footers in San Remo within about 800 feet. The other thing I'd like to show you is...
You need to take the mic with you, Mr. Tramarco.
I'll submit this to the board, but there are 4 houses right, well, there's 3 across the street on Lakeview Drive, and 1 on the same side of the street that are 40-footers, not further than a couple of 100 feet away from the subject property. You can see here that the subject property is here, and the surrounding houses that are on 40-footers are across the street and next door. And at least 2 of those houses, the Board of Zoning Appeals gave variances for them in the 90s. Now, the type of house that we want to build on the property, you can see, is a very attractive house. It has 8-foot side yards. It's a 2-story house. The front yard setback is 35 feet. We need the 35 feet in order to put in sanitary system, and that's why we're asking for a 30-foot rear yard as opposed to 35 feet. Again, as the board knows, for lots created on filed maps prior to 1950 and that are 100-foot deep, the rear and front yard requirements are 25 feet and 35 feet. even though the zoning ordinance says in R10 you need 40 and 50-foot rear yard. So we're asking for relaxation in the rear yard of 5 feet. Of course, the side yards are 8 and 8 is 16, and a total of 28. A total of 28 is required. So we're asking for a variance with respect to total side yards also. You can also see from the diagram, or the floor plan of the house, it's a moderately sized house. It's 1,470 square feet. 1,470 square feet on a 4,000 square foot lot translates into a 37% floor area variance. The ad is wrong. I checked it out with Blaise Donadio, and he has the calculator there, and somehow
It's 37.
we got to 42. You can see the garage. There is a garage. It's a single-car garage. There's a first floor and a second floor. There are 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. We feel that it will not be an adverse situation to the character of the area. It's a beautiful house in a beautiful area. San Remo is probably one of the nicest areas that we have in Smithtown. Some of the lots are small, but that's because of how it was done many, many, many years ago, before any of us really had any control over the type of zoning. Is the variance substantial? Well, it's substantial if you look at it from today's zoning. But at the time when these people bought that property, they could have built the house right to the side yards and to the rear yard. They could have, some of the buildings you see in San Remo are block buildings right to the sides and the rear. In fact, there's one building, it's not on Riviera, it's right behind Riviera. I think it was a Sears prefab building. It's on a 20-foot lot, and it's a little bungalow. And it's there in its little unobtrusive way. So we asked the board for its favorable consideration. It certainly would have no effect on the environment. Everything else is built up there. There is 1 vacant lot, or 2 vacant lots on Lakeview. One has a very deep depression, and the other one the same thing, and it's across the street. Whether the difficulty was self-created. Not in this case. These people bought property, or their ancestors did, when you could have built on a 20-foot lot. So given those facts, we asked the board for its favorable consideration. Again, we're going to build a nice house, something that'll be a benefit to the area and not a detriment. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, planning?
We have a number of comments. We're concerned about the impact on the character of the area. Even though there are 4 lots this size, I count on the map that Mr. Tremarco provided that on the same block there are 19 lots that are larger. The second thing is the town's minimum area requirement is 10,000 square feet, or roughly 1/4 of an acre, and higher density normally or intrinsically means more impacts. It's more pollution per acre in terms of groundwater. It's more trips per acre. It's more garbage generated per acre, more school kids per acre, and so on and so forth. So, you know, obviously the town board set the standard for a reason. Third thing is the assuming that if the board grants the application to build on the lot, the way you build on the lot could create drainage impacts. It's been said over and over again, which doesn't make it true, but I presume it's true, that one of the major sources of pollution of the Nisqually River is the development of San Remo. The density of development, the lack of drainage, the lack of sewers contribute to both subsurface pollution and surface pollution to the river. So if this property is developed in a way where the stormwater runs off the site, either during construction or after, it would contribute to the pollution of the river. And I think that that's basically it. I think the board has to wrestle with the single and separateness of it and the 5 considerations that Mr. Tremarco went through.
Gentlemen, any other questions?
No question. Do I answer Mr. Flynn now, do we wait?
You can, or you want to wait till either the other people speak and then come
Yes.
back?
Yeah, I
Okay,
would.
let's
Thank
do
you.
it that way then. Okay, is there, you got to put the mic back though. Mr. Tremarco, you got to give up that mic.
Oh, I'm not going to give it up.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? All right, come up and line up, please. Line up over there, please, so that I can take you one at a time. Okay. Okay. May I have your name, please, and spell your name?
My name is Michael Ruggiero, Ruggiero,
And your address, I can see.
56 Lakeview Drive, Kings Park.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Want to tell us why you're here, please?
Yes, I live just to the south of this lot. They're asking for a variance that's less than half of what is usually required to build on. They're asking to cut down the side yards, the backyard, the front yard. They're basically looking to cram a house where it doesn't belong. They're looking to put up a 2-story house. The houses he's talking about that have already been on lots these size are bungalows. They're 1-story houses that have been there for a while. And I just feel it's not right to try to cram a house on this very small lot.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much. Next, please. May I have your name, please?
Yes.
Yeah, just move it down. Good. Thank you.
Adelaide Corvell.
Spell your last name, please.
Corvelle.
Okay, what's your address, please?
78 Lakeview Drive, Kings Park.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I live on the other side of the proposed lot, and I was so happy to hear what the gentleman said because I feel there would be environmental impact. When I have lived there for 40 years, and the house was in my family for 65 years. And we tried to buy the 2 lots from these people, and they wouldn't sell. So it's not like they were stuck with it. Before Mike moved in on the other side, that man tried to buy the lots. So it's not like they got stuck with the lots. But anyway, we're very concerned about the river. When I moved there, you couldn't even use certain soaps in the washing machine because it was bad for the river. Mike moved in, he's installing solar panels. I had to apply to the DEC to cut down 1 tree in my backyard because it's so close to the river. So, you know, and the other thing I'm worried about, I'm down the hill from this lot, and I'm very worried about flooding and drainage and all of that. So that's the environmental thing. As far as changing the character, I don't think the fact that these other houses got stuck in these small lots should be an excuse to jam in another house. It's a very pretty area. We all try to keep our houses beautiful. We plant gardens and grow tomatoes and all of that. And you know, to jam in a gigantic house, give the man 6 variances, I never heard of such a thing, and then there's not going to be any place to park. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I cannot get my mail. If I have a rural mailbox, I cannot get my mail if somebody parks in front of the mailbox. So parking will be a problem. Let's see what else. So the last thing is San Remo has a rural look, and I think this will change that. So that's what I had to say, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Mr. Tremarco?
One of the reasons the town board enacted 322-74 is to protect a landowner from an adverse zoning that came upon after that landowner bought the property, spent his money, however much it was in those days, paid taxes on it for about 90 years, and now some people are saying, and certainly it's their right to say it, well, we don't want anything built there. Well, these people who own the property paid taxes all those years. They have a right to rely on an ordinance that was promulgated by the town board of the town of Smithtown. I didn't make it up, not to mention all the court cases with respect to single and separate ownership. But this is a classic case because we meet every requirement of the ordinance. Now, to talk about Mr. Flynn, David Flynn's arguments, number one, the engineering department on any building permit checks out the property, requires all water to remain on the property. You have to have your own method of water containment. So the issue of water containment when the house is built is ruled upon by the engineering department. We have to put in a site plan, and that plan has to be approved by engineering. With respect to, during the course of construction, there are DEC regulations, by the way. We did apply for a DEC permit. That's pending. When you build in a place like that, you have to put up screen fencing. I forget what they call it. It's a black screen with stakes in the ground to stop any water and mud from flowing down the property. So, you know, to say, well, this guy or these people can't build here because they're going to contribute adversely to the environment, but it's okay for everybody else to have built there, but not this person because they're too late. Well, they're not too late, and the reason why they're not too late is because we have an ordinance that says if we conform to that ordinance, we're not too late. So I ask the board for its favorable consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's regularly moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
All good? No.
Okay. That's all right. That's okay.
Okay. Madam Chair, the next case, number 17170, Andreas Neens, 41 Donna Lane, Comac. The location of the property, the north side of Donna Lane, 104 feet west of Jean Place. The property is zoned R10. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum distance from any lot line from 6 feet to 1 foot for an existing 101 square foot pool house with a 106 square foot roof over patio.
Ladies and gentlemen who are in the back there, if you would please take a seat. So there's no talking from the audience, please. Okay. May I have your name, please?
Mario Vigliata.
And you have a power of attorney?
Yes, I just submitted the power of attorney.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. And would you please spell your last name?
Sure. V as in Victor, I-G-L-I-O-T-T-A.
And your address, please?
My company is Colonial Property Consultants, and I have a P.O. Box, 505 Mastic Beach, New York, 11951.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the board. My name is Mario Vigliato of Colonial Property Consultants, and I am representing Mr. and Mrs. Andrews Neans, who respectfully request a variance involving the property located at 41 Donna Lane in Comac. The variance, as already stated, is to request a reduction of a side yard setback for an existing pool house from 6 feet to 1 foot. The property owners have told me that they are not aware of any complaints or concerns of any of the neighboring property owners for any of the improvements that have been made to their property. I would also like to advise the board that the existing pool house was constructed on a 5-foot wide drainage easement that leads to a town of Smithtown recharge basin located in the rear of the property. On May 22nd of this year, I appeared before the town planning board and requested a waiver to allow the pool house to stay on the existing easement. At hearing, it was presented a memo from the Superintendent of Highways, Mr. Glenn Jorgensen, stating, as I quote, "The Highway Department has no objections to the structure built on our drainage easement at 41 Donald Lane in Comac, so long as the homeowner agrees to move or tear down the structure if the highway needs access and requests the homeowner does so." I have spoken to the homeowner, and he's in total agreement. I have to, the planning board held their decision until after I appeared here before the zoning board for the variance. We do not believe that there is any undesirable change has been produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to the neighborhood with the construction of this pool house. Excuse me. The only other method available to the property owner would be to tear down and reconstruct the pool house, which, although is possible, it would be of a great expense to the property owner. We believe that the 5-foot variance that we are requesting is not a substantial variance, and we do not believe that this variance will have any adverse effect or impact on the neighborhood. And yes, this pool house was self-created.
Planning?
Question. In the consideration with respect to alternatives, it looks like there are many places where the pool house could be. Is fair enough? Is that correct?
I don't know if many, but I would definitely agree that there would be another location. But again, it's adverse to the property owner as far as dismantling the whole building and then reconstructing it.
I understand. It's the board's call, but it just, to me, it's hard to be sympathetic for some person who violates the code and give them approval, and then on the other hand, someone who requests approval before they come in and deny them because they have alternatives. It just doesn't seem fair to me.
Okay. Gentlemen, any other questions?
No question.
No, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Is it ready to move to second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Madam Chair, the next case, number 17171, Christopher Langer, 52 Tillotson Avenue, St. James. The location of the property is the south side of Tillotson Avenue, 220 feet west of Pierpont Street. The property is zoned R10. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 50 to 18 feet for an existing addition.
Vinny, just give them to me and I'll pass them for you. Save you a lot of walking. Oh, okay, these are all his things in compliance.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, Chairwoman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. I've submitted the affidavits of posting and mailing to the chairwoman.
Yeah, I gave him all of it.
I would like to submit a map to each of you. For some reason, I only have one of these.
That's all right,
But
we'll
it's
share
an
it.
aerial photo.
We'll share it.
You open it up, you'll see that the subject property fronts on Tillotson, Tillotson Avenue. It's 140 feet long, or wide along Tillotson Avenue, and it's 100 feet deep. If you look at all the green dots, they are the houses that are already built on Clinton, on Tillotson, and on Claremont. And you can see that not one of those houses projects into the lot behind it. In other words, every house is on 100 by 100, or maybe 100 by 120. I think there's one lot that's on 100, by 120. And my point is that this common rear boundary line in this old file map was just that, a common rear boundary line. So, and it was never intended by the map maker at the time that those lots would run street to street. Now, that's not to say that you couldn't own two lots and you couldn't build on two lots. In this particular case, what my clients did, and being naive and not knowing the zoning and the building requirements, built an extension on the first and second floor, and had a contractor do it, of course, and he did the right thing and he got permits. But what he didn't think about was the rear yard. And since they owned the second lot, the CO was issued for that addition of the first and second floor. There was a little variance on the setback in the front, but nothing major. So that's the way it went down a few years ago. It doesn't make any sense for the Langers to have a piece of property that runs street to street. So what they did is they took the deck that was there and reduced it down to ground level. And the variance that they were asking for is 18 feet from the rear property line of the 100-foot in-depth lot. And if you look at the survey, it's mostly about 22 feet, except for one little jut out where they have a little first story, and that's the 18 feet. Now, this is another example of the old file map rule. This is a file map of 1908, even older than San Remo. And so when you have a map like that, the ordinance says if your lot is less than 110 feet deep, and it was mapped prior to 1950, all you really need in a rear yard is 35 feet. You don't need the required 50 feet. And I say this only because the variance really should be from 35 feet, which is allowed under our own zoning rules, to 18 feet in that one jut out in the back. The other variance that was granted years ago when they built the whole first and second story addition was in the front, and it's really de minimis. You can see it's about 3.5 feet. It's to 37 feet now. But that wouldn't affect anything. The other thing I'd like you to do is look at the aerial map, and you can see every house is built on plots that are 100 foot deep, and their rear yards are not massive 50-foot rear yards. They're all small rear yards because that's the nature of what happened with this zoning map when they did it in 1908. Now, if we do R10 zoning, which we almost can't do because of health department regulations, it's usually 75 by 125, which gives you some expansion in the rear of the property. So what we want to do, or what we're asking this board to do, is grant us the rear yard variance so that the other lot, which was in effect encumbered or taken into account when they did that addition, will not be taken into account anymore, and the CO should be modified with respect to the first and second floor additions without counting the second lot. Otherwise, what you have here is every house on Tillotson, on Clinton, and on Claremont are all on 100-foot depth lots, except my client, which would have a 200-foot depth lot, as well as 140-foot wide. And by the way, they're 140-foot wide, not 100-foot wide. So the effect of that rear yard variance is lessened because they have an additional 4,000 square feet that they're not even required to have, so that it really doesn't make for any kind of adverse effect on the character of the neighborhood. It certainly doesn't have any environmental consequences. Was the difficulty self-created? I think the difficulty was created because, very honestly, my clients didn't know any better. They wanted to make the house larger for their family, and this is the way it was done. Not thinking that, you know, someday they could have another lot there and build a smaller house for themselves. So we ask the board for its favorable consideration. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I just have some clarification. So my understanding is that you're going to be splitting this lot.
I'm going to
You're going to split this. Make
split it?
Split it. In other words,
I don't have to split it, Madam Chairman. There's a split already in the file map of 1908.
there is already a split. All right, let me ask you another question. All the other homes, do they have an 18-foot backyard? Or
It
is
varies.
it
Some of them are smaller than others, but I don't know the exact dimensions. But you can see from the aerial map that they are close to each other.
Okay. Planning?
Madam Chair and members of the board, clearly this is self-created, but I don't think that that's fatal to the application. Apparently, a long time ago, the property owner used the other lot facing the other street as the rear yard for this property in order to circumvent the need for going for a variance at that time. But if you look at it going forward, as though the application is for something that's not yet built, it seems that it has some merit because basically the pattern of development is already set and it wouldn't create a precedent. The property is also wide, and whoever builds in the back can place their house not directly behind the addition.
Okay. Gentlemen, any other questions? Any questions?
No question.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain the motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Regularly moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Big site plan for nothing, but. Okay. Good. Madam Chair, the next case, number 17172, Marcus and Charlene Loglisi, 30 Dilmont Drive in Smithtown, the location of the property. The south side of Dilmont Drive, 1,803 feet east of Pine Acre Drive. The property is zoned R21. The applicant requests a variance to add to an existing 295 square foot rear sunroom to a non-conforming house.
Evening, Madam
evening.
Chair, members of the board. Richard Tripakowski, representing the applicant tonight. I've been given a power of attorney as they were not able to attend.
Do you need the spelling of his name? Please, the spelling of
Sure.
your last
It's
name, please.
Trpicovsky. And my address, if needed, is 173 North Main Street, Sayville, New York.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Gentlemen, please. All right, you want to tell us why you're here, please?
Sure. The sunroom that we're here for tonight is a screened, unheated, and at the rear center of the home. The addition meets all current zoning codes, including setbacks. The homeowner was unaware that when the house was built, it was built with a variance. If it were not for that, there would not be a need to be here tonight. The sunroom is seasonal and a great distance from any surrounding homes or properties. And as per Google Earth, others in the area appear to have similar additions. The property is surrounded by trees, and the addition will not alter the characteristic of the neighborhood, nor have any negative impact on the environment, traffic, safety, or noise.
Planning?
Do you realize why he's here? You know, it complies with all of the setbacks, but
Right.
the ordinance was amended a couple of years ago
Right.
that if a variance was granted, you can't alter the building without coming back for a new variance.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. Did I close it, did I? No? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Is ready, moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Madam Chair, the next case, number 17173, Joseph Civilli, 9 R.J. Lane, Comac. The location of the property, the north side of R.J. Lane, 318 feet north of Shinbone Lane. The property is zoned R10. The applicant requests a variance to increase the FAR from 25 to 27% for a proposed 125 square foot first floor addition, 158 square foot attached garage addition, and 82 square foot second floor addition.
May I have your name, please?
Joe Civilli,
And your address?
9 R.J. Lane, Comac, New York.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
The additions I plan to put onto the house will not change the character of the house. They're small additions and done in proportion and in style of the home. I purchased the home a few years ago, and I purchased it the way it is today. So currently, to get to the second floor, I need to go through the garage to access a stairway to the second floor. If I park a car in the garage, I cannot access the second floor. So I'm looking to put an addition onto the garage so that I can create a small mudroom that would enable me to access the second floor. Is the request substantial? I believe it is substantial. There will be no environmental impact. And like I said, this is not self-created. I purchased the home this way.
Okay, let me tell you that I have to say, this does not look like a single-family home to me.
It is a mother-daughter.
Well, then you needed to apply, if I guess, for a
No,
special...
I have, it currently has a mother-daughter application that I would like to withdraw. It currently is a mother-daughter application. I'd like to withdraw that by creating that.
Did you get approval for the mother-daughter?
Do I have approval for it?
Yeah, do you have a permit?
I purchased the home that way.
But do you have an approval from the town that says it's approved as a temporary living quarters for parent?
Yes, I purchased it 3 years ago, it was that way. And I went to renew the permit for that, and I was explained that if I create this, I purchased the home exactly the way it is.
Okay.
So if you look on first floor plan, that bubbled in area that I'm gonna be creating a mudroom to access the second floor.
Well, a special exception, once the homeowner leaves, isn't that special exception not granted anymore? He has to apply for a special exception.
I believe the ordinance says that the occupants and the ownership have to be the same. There might be some confusion with respect to court cases about that, but that's what the ordinance requires. I'm not sure if we did a search to see if there are old cases on this property. Obviously, we'll look at that tomorrow. But
It's all for one family, it's not it's my
understand
family
that.
that's using the space. And that's why I want to make it all one livable area, and remove the doors and have it accessible, free flowing through the house.
I don't see it removed.
On page
Is
first floor
allowed,
plan?
isn't it?
it is. I thought the plan doesn't seem to show that.
I don't have that either.
Is this the plan that you're proposing?
Yeah, can I see what you have there, or?
Dated, 1/31/2013.
I have here 1/10/14, 2014.
That's not the set we have.
We don't have those plans.
Can I give you a copy of this?
Yeah.
I submitted these with the,
Let me see what those are.
Tony, can I? Sure. Thanks.
Well, look. All right, let's see what we can do here. Why don't we pass this and then see what... All right, this doesn't look like it's right. You see? Do you have that too? Look at? You only had one set, huh?
well, I have another set here. If you want to see it here.
I thought I'd share.
Is this what we're looking at?
Okay, you have to go back to the
Okay.
board. Thanks.
This is the old set? I'm sorry.
A question, do you know why the plans that were submitted with the application are a year older than the ones that you have tonight?
I submitted the same, these are extra copies I have with me that I brought today,
Right?
so that I could discuss this with you, but I don't know why you guys don't have copies of them. I submitted them,
The only
Uh,
ones we have even have a different name in the title block. It has your landscaping company, and the ones you have tonight have an architect.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why you guys don't have that set, but that was submitted, you know, for approval, and then I was denied, and I had to go for variance because of the lot coverage. That's the,
Mhm.
I may have started with a different set a year ago, but that's the right set.
You think we should adjourn this? Yeah, I think we're going to have to adjourn this. All right, because it's really hard for us. We don't really, we went according to the old plans. That's all we have. All right, so, Mr. Flynn, I guess we'll adjourn it to next time and see if, I guess you'll have,
I think you need a chance to digest it and see the new
Yeah.
drawings.
right.
Okay, I definitely submitted those the set I just showed you now, I submitted them for this hearing.
What can I say, you know, like,
Oh,
this
okay.
is in the file folder, not that one. I don't know how, you know, anybody would have swapped them.
Yeah.
The one that's a year old, what status is that? It's
No
superseded
status.
by the newer one?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, we only have, I guess you want one set back, but we only have.
I could reprint them, I mean, it doesn't matter. I can get more copies. I'll have to submit more sets to you, is that, would you like me to submit more sets?
Yeah, I think we need some more sets,
Okay.
right? This is the old one.
I noticed in the new set, it still doesn't seem to show a connection between the apartment and the main part of the house. It
Yeah,
shows
on
a
the
separate
first-
kitchen.
On the first floor plan.
It shows a common hall in the first floor, but still completely separate on the second floor.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be a one-family home. In the few
That's-
seconds that I looked at it, it looks like you could be locked out of the main part of the house and not be able to get in from the
If
apartment.
you look at the first floor plan that I just submitted to you,
Here.
I purchased the
Behind the
home the way it is today. I did not do that to it, so I'm looking to undo that and actually make it so that it's all one free-flowing house.
But a second floor has to be able to get between also.
But even the first floor, if you're an apartment dweller, you walk in the side door, you could be locked out of the rest of the house.
No, there's no doors between
No, you
there.
see there's no door behind the
There's
garage?
no door.
Yeah, but it's a 3-foot opening. What does it take to put a door in? I mean,
If you're accusing me of trying to make it, I want to undo what's currently there.
right.
I
It just
did
doesn't
not-
look like it's designed to be a one-family home.
Again, I purchased the home about 3 years ago. That's the way it was. And I don't like the idea that I have to go into the garage to go to that portion of the house, so I'm undoing it. I would like to make it all one free-flowing, that's my goal.
Maybe he should meet.
Hmm?
Maybe he should come in and meet. Because it looks to me, it's like it's not.
Well, it's really up to the board. I mean,
What do you want to do, gentlemen?
It's a section of the home that my mom and dad periodically use. They seasonally stay with us, so that's why we purchased the home.
I know.
And it was,
Maybe
it was,
he should go in and sit down with the plans examiner
Yeah,
and just
I think so,
discuss if
too.
he's interpreting it the same way, and then we'll go off of his recommendation.
Yep. I think what you need to do is get the new plan, make an appointment with the planning department, all right? And see if this can be worked out.
I
All right?
pretty much have done that already.
Well, I'm very sorry, but to us, it looks like it is, it's an apartment. There's no access on the second floor.
Well, that's what I'm asking, that's why I'm here.
It doesn't show that on the plans, though.
Yes,
So, I'm going to adjourn this. I think
Okay.
you better meet with the planning department, all right? So that we can, and then make copies of those new plans, so we can look at those. All right?
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you the next meeting, which is June 22nd, July 22nd, I'm sorry. I think, call the planning department. Good.
If, let's say this is really the building department's
Okay.
call, not the planning
Not
department.
on-
So if he
go-
called us, we would quickly bring the building department into this. Based
Okay.
on what the building department has told us over the years, in order for it to be a one-family home, there must be an archway at least 4 feet wide
Right.
between two parts of the home that have kitchens. So if he meets with the building department and they say that this is not a one-family home, or that based on their interpretation, this is an accessory apartment, a temporary living quarters, he might want to apply for this special exception for a temporary living quarters, and July 22nd would not be soon enough.
Okay. You know what he's telling you, what he's saying to you? Go back to the building department?
Okay.
Okay.
And request what was the way it was when I purchased the home, which it had a separate.
You know, you might have to apply for a special exception as mother-daughter.
Right, which is the way I purchased the home. It had a special exception for mother-daughter.
You might have to apply for that, yeah.
Okay, I was
You
told,
know,
yeah.
See what they say? All right.
I went through the whole process, and a gentleman came and did a physical inspection on the property, and he explained to me, an inspector explained to me that if I didn't need, and that's why the change in the plans from the, he explained to me that if I didn't have doors separating the two, I wouldn't need that special permit. That if it's a continuous, free-flowing, livable space, that I don't need the special permit.
Okay.
I believe that is the case, as long as building is saying,
I
as
had
long
s-
as the plans examiner tells us that this is not considered an accessory apartment, then we would go on the
Okay.
premise that it's not. So if we can get that determination.
Yeah,
If you could just grab the plans examiner and have him let us know that.
In a way, isn't it already before you? I mean, if
Again,
it's not
I
in the
would think,
denial.
but we don't have that set of plans in the file, so
Right.
I would think that I
The
would
most current set?
take
The
that
one-
most current set to building, show that to the plans examiner, and let him determine that this is not a mother-daughter application. Then he'll issue that to us, and then we can rule on it.
Okay. So let's go, you want to go, you think that August 12th would be better?
Well, let's just say the building department says it is a mother-daughter. It would have to be adjourned longer than July 22nd.
Okay. So you're not being hurt by this, because it's there already. So let's go to August 12th. All right?
Okay. So in the interim, I take a set of plans back to the building department?
Right.
I would submit, how many sets do we need for the file? I would submit 5 sets of that
Five.
to the building and meet with the plans examiner and explain to him what we had just said.
Okay.
And then
And then do I have to do this whole this variance? I don't have to do it again. You're gonna.
just a new sign, right?
Well,
The Joel
I-
Corning.
if the plans examiner kind of like rules in your favor and says this is not a temporary living quarters, you would be back here on August 12th. Probably not have a lot to say other than to produce the evidence to the board
Right.
that the plans examiner interpreted your way. If the plans examiner says this is a temporary living quarters and you say, what do I need to do to legalize that? You would have to send out a new public notice, 200-foot radius. You would have to change the application form. There'd be an additional fee. And you'd have to change the environmental assessment form. It's kind of involved.
I actually already did that. I went down there with the intent of renewing the permit. I went
Right.
to the building department. I went there with the intent of renewing the permit. I had a gentleman physically come to the house and
Right.
physically walk through the house and look at it. And he said, fine, no problem, pay the $100 or $200 fee. And he had mentioned to me that if I mentioned to him that I wanted to make it all one free-flowing house and remove those doors. And he said, well, then you wouldn't need this permit. So I kind of have already done what you're asking me to
Most
do.
likely, you're right. The thing is that we don't have that set of plans in the file right now, which means that we can't be certain
The
the
plans I
plans
brought you.
examiner even saw that set of plans.
Okay, I don't know why you don't have.
Normally, there would be something that was given to the building department. It gets stamped denied. And that same set of plans is what this board sees. And there seems to be some confusion as to which set the building department looked at.
I may even have. I may even have the paperwork and the receipt that I paid for the application, but, okay, if I have to come back, I'll come back.
Okay. All right,
Sorry.
that's all right. August 12th, so let's see if we can get this straightened out with the building department and then come back.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Was there anyone here that wanted to speak? Okay. All right, so it's adjourned to August 12th. Next case, please.
Madam Chair, the next case, number 17174, Philip and Gail Varisco, 2 Silo Road, Comac. The location of the property is the southwest corner of Scholar Lane and Silo Road. The property is zoned R21. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the front yard setback on Scholar Lane from 26 feet from pavement to property line for an existing 6-foot fence.
Good evening.
May I
Madam.
have your name, please?
My name is Phil Varisco.
I'm sorry?
Philip Varisco,
And your address, please?
2 Silo Road, Comac.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Are you going to speak?
Yes.
No, I'm asking him. No? Okay.
Can you speak? I could use
All
the
right,
help.
do you want
I
to
could
tell us
use-
why you're here, please?
I could use the help. Excuse me?
Want to tell us why you're here?
Okay. I'm asking for a variance to reduce the setback on a fence on the side of my sides. I live on the corner, and the fence is on the side of my house. I live directly across the street from Comac High School, and the fence provides me a barrier between the children. The students aren't allowed to smoke on the campus, so I find them, they come across the street and hang out and smoke right on the sidewalk and on my property. So, you know, at one point I had a 4-foot cyclone fence. I also needed the 6-foot fence. I have a pool in the backyard, and I found them in the backyard climbing the 4-foot fence. So the 6-foot fence actually helped keep them out of the yard, away from the pool, and also the reduced setback. If I didn't have it, I believe they would make that part of my yard more of a public park for hanging out and such. I don't believe it produced an undesirable change in the neighborhood. There are many fences like that. I counted 11 within a quarter mile of my surroundings. I'd like to submit photos to the board, if I could.
The only way do you know if these people have variances for all these?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I just say it's more my fence would be more the norm than the abnormal. I don't believe that anything else I erect on that side of the house would produce the same effect as the fence has. I don't believe the variance would be very substantial, and my fence is erected, so I did create the difficulty. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And I don't believe there's a negative impact on the environment of the neighborhood.
Okay. Let me explain to you know that there was another case here. He has the same thing, his fence right on the property line, too. So, you know, we'll consider both cases. The other thing I have to ask you, though, is you have 2 curb cuts. Do you have permission to have that second curb cut?
That curb was there when I bought my house.
You had 2 curb.
No,
I swear you went if you want to come up. You had 2 curb cuts, one on Solo and one on Scholar?
Yes.
Right. We're going to have to see if that, if there is a permit, I guess, for that from the highway department. I don't know.
Do you want to say something?
Can I say something?
You can, but I'll swear you in.
Yeah.
Give me your name, honey.
My name is Gail Varisco.
Okay.
And I
your
live at
address?
2 Silo Road, Comac, New York.
All right, raise your right hand. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
That curb cut that you're talking about, we were told, we're the second owners of the house, we're there 20 years. We were told when we purchased the house, the original owner, when they were putting in the sidewalks, he owned a boat. So he had requested from the highway department, when, at the time of putting in the sidewalks, if he can have a curb cut put there so that he could put the boat into the backyard.
Okay, we're gonna have to look to see if there's a permit for it.
That's what we were told 20
Okay.
years ago.
All right, we'll
My
look.
husband also has, if you want to show them the pictures. We have a lot of run-ins with kids from the high school.
I
They're
understand that.
disrespectful. We've had our bushes, when we previously had a chain link fence and bushes, he came home during the day, the bushes were caught on fire because they were throwing their cigarettes. So then they made Comac High School a non-smoking campus. At that time, I think they were even allowed to smoke over there. But it was a good thing he was home during the day and he put it out with the hose. So bushes are not advisable over there. We put up this 6-foot fence also to keep them even out of our yard. They trespass. They even come with their cars through the driveway. And when you try to even speak nicely to these teenagers, they're rude, they're fresh, and just when all this was going on, I took a picture with my cell phone asking them to please move. They'll sit right in my driveway. Thank God you have backup cameras on your car, or else you can run them over. I took a picture of them because they're standing in front of my house smoking. The one kid was very fresh. You know, he told me, you better erase that picture or you'll see what's going to happen to you. So the fence is, that's why we're asking to
If you want to
please.
submit that picture, you have to write the date you took the picture, the case number, and your name and address. Okay? And then you can
Okay.
bring it over here and we'll put it into the file.
The date, if I could find the date. Okay.
Planning, do you have anything? Okay.
One is, do the people behind you have the same problem that you do, Camus?
Yeah, their
Okay.
house faces Scholar.
Right?
So, our fence backs up to their side, like
Right.
their driveway. And yes, they do have the same problem.
And their driveway is between their house and your property?
Yes.
The other thing I was going to say, the second point, is this property's bigger than the other property that was here tonight, but it's not oversized. The other property was made larger because it was a corner lot. This one's larger because it's a different zoning district, but it's not larger than the interior lots in the street.
Okay.
And the fence, I mean, it looks beautiful.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Right. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Ready, moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I don't know if I was going to say anything.
Oh.
No? Okay. Madam Chair, the next case, number 17175, Sean and Janice Meany, 42 Smith Street, Nesconset. The location of the property, the west side of Smith Street, 380 feet north of Fultman Street. The property is zoned R10. The applicant requests a special exception to permit living quarters for a parent in a proposed 750 square foot addition.
May I have your name, please?
I'm Janice Meany,
And your address, Jan?
42 Smith Street, Nesconset, New York.
All right. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
My husband and I are asking for a special exception, a mother-daughter, in our case, a father-son, addition put onto our home for my 87-year-old father-in-law who's in great health. He lives in Comac, in a big, beautiful house, and it's time for him to downsize. He still is extremely independent, so what we're asking for is to build an addition on our home, which would include a living room, a bathroom, a small kitchenette, and a bedroom. And then we want to put a basement in. We're going to have a door in our house that leads into his house. There'll also be a door from our basement into his basement. We're 21 feet from the side property and 114 feet from the back property. The addition, we're making it geometric. Our dining room is set back 8 feet. We would like to put this addition back 4 feet, so it kind of looks uniform. And that's it, I guess.
Okay. Planning?
As you know, this is a special exception and not a variance.
Mhm.
And the ordinance requires that the planning department or prepare a planning advisory report unless the director determines that there are no planning issues involved. We did prepare a planning advisory report. We compared the application to all of the standards for special exceptions in general and the extra standards required for this type of special exception. And in our opinion, this application is in conformity with all of them, and based on that, we recommend approval.
Okay. Any questions, gentlemen? Anything else?
No question.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Irregularly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. You're welcome. Okay. Mr. King? I guess the people might have a fit, but okay. Mr. Shea said that Mr. King can go before him, so do we have any objection to it?
Does the board have any objection?
Pardon me?
Does the board have any objection?
Do you have any objection?
No. We got to stay here. I think Mr. King should also.
You know what? Touche.
What do you say?
Since we have to stay here, we think that you should
Whatever
also.
you like. I have to get to insignia.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I figured. Okay, if that's all right. We have other cases too.
17147.
One other, no, is that, huh? Yeah, I know. It's up to you. What do you want to do, gentlemen? You want to do both and then have the other case? All right. Are the Pfeiffer's here? Is Mr. and Mrs., are they here? Okay. I'll let you tell you what we're going to do. We're going to let the other two cases come ahead before we do the other one. See? Okay. Hey, please. What do you want to do? Gentlemen, what do you want to do? Huh? It's up to you. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. How do you want to handle it, gentlemen? Do you want to let them go ahead, or this is going to be a long case?
Well, it's just getting longer.
I know it. It is getting longer. Yep, all right. Okay. We're going to let it go as far as cases the way they are advertised. So, Mr. King, you're going to have to just stick it out. Sorry. All right. Huh? What do you? All right. Is that okay with Paul? Yeah. Okay, but before you even start, let me just make a statement so you understand how this procedure is going to go. I can see there are a lot of people here that are interested in this case. I'm going to tell you that the applicant is going to come up, present his case, their case, and then I will allow everyone one opportunity, only one opportunity to speak. So please remember that. And please make your remarks factual that are related to the case. As a board, We have to determine our decision on the 5 criteria that are posted here. It is very important that this case, this hearing, is fair and orderly. So I'm going to ask you. There'll be no calling out. There'll be no talking from the audience. There'll be no applause. Right? I'm asking everyone to cooperate, and so the court reporter can hear and record all the statements. Right? Everything must be addressed to this board. And then I will ask the applicant to come back to answer your concerns. And I thank you for your cooperation and your orderly and professional manner. All right. Do you want to then read? Go ahead.
Madam Chair, the next case, number 17176, Prospect Sports Partners, LLC. The location of the property is 350 Old Northport Road, Kings Park. It is located on the north side of Old Northport Road, 1,018 feet west of Indian Head Road. The property is zoned LI. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum lot frontage at setback from 100 feet to 64 feet, reduce the required densely planted buffer zone in the rear yard from 100 feet to 52 feet, waive standards that requires recreational uses to be in permanent structures and that such activity not exceed the area of the principal building, waive the standards that require adequate parking and that requires compliance with height requirements for proposed buildings 60 feet and 52 feet, 52 feet in height. Waive the standard that outdoor lighting does not exceed 18 feet in height to 60 feet for 55 light poles. Variance to increase the height of buildings from 35 feet to 60 feet for 2 52-foot buildings and 1 60-foot building. Increase the height of accessory structures from 18 feet to 65 feet for 55 proposed light poles. Increase the height of accessory structure from 18 feet to 25 feet for proposed 25-foot high fences. Reduce the minimum required parking spaces from 2,476 to 1,038. Reduce the number of parking landscape islands from 126 to 0. Increase the height of retaining walls from 6 feet to 23 feet. Reduce the setback of a 23-foot high retaining wall from the lot line from 23 feet to 3 feet. Reduce the minimum required number of truck loading spaces from 5 to 0. Reduce the required front yard landscaping from 80% to 30%. Variance to the requirement that any outdoor lighting of any use shall be arranged in such a way that no direct glare is cast towards any adjacent property. Variance to the requirement that any outdoor lighting shall be limited to the illumination of buildings for security purposes and that lighting of parking areas and access ways for 5 ball fields.
I'm assuming that there are some of these variances, I guess, that you don't need. Am I correct?
Yes, Ms. Ganadeo.
Okay.
Yes. J. Timothy Shea Jr., Sir Tillman Ballin, 100 Motor Parkway, Hauppauge, New York, for the applicant, Prospect Sports. At the beginning, I would note that the variance call did not reflect omission of one variance that we had omitted due to a updated lighting plan, and that was the one for waiving the requirement that outdoor lighting of any use shall be arranged in such a way to give no direct glare cast toward any adjacent property. I'm not sure if that's needed or not. We have no glare on any of the residential properties surrounding. There may be some light spillage onto the town dump, which is located to the southeast of the property, but there's no spillage onto any of the residential neighborhoods, so I don't know that we need that variance. In addition, we recently updated our landscaping plan for the subject site and have now included landscaped islands within the parking areas. We would ask for the variance, but we fully intend to provide landscape islands. We just want to make sure that we provide the same either through variance or by code. We're not sure if all of the landscape islands meet the number that we would need for code, but we've included them wherever we can. If I may, I'd like to just give a brief overview of the project, site history, then turn the program over to our expert testimony people. I am joined here today by Ken Henderson of Prospect Sports, who will not necessarily be testifying unless there's a question that can't be answered by any of the experts. Wayne Muller of RMS Engineering, who will be testifying with regard to parking. We would ask that you note that we did submit a updated parking and traffic impact study with the planning department this morning to be included in the record. Furthermore, we have Jim Corman of Acuity Brand Lighting, who will be testifying with regard to the lighting that is going to be provided on the site. We did submit, I think in the original application, some lighting specifications and a photometric plan. I will provide an extra copy for the record tonight. We have Ishwar Kashuri of KECPC Engineering, who will be only testifying with regard to engineering issues that may arise or to answer any questions. We have Kathy Eiserman of Nelson Pope and Voorhees, our environmental expert, who will briefly testify with regard to the lack of environmental impacts with regard to this project. We have handed in and filed a updated environmental planning analysis for zoning relief by Nelson Pope and Voorhees dated July 7th, 2014, and it was submitted to the planning department. I'll provide a courtesy copy for the record of that report too. Lastly but not leastly, we have John Breslin of Breslin Appraisal Co. We did submit a report from Mr. Breslin together with the other reports, which should be part of the record, and Mr. Breslin will testify with regard to the lack of negative impacts on real estate values as a result of this project. The site in question is 44 acres on the north side of Old Northport Road, approximately 1,100 feet west of Indian Head Road. Access is by a 64-foot wide road access, which travels southward to Indian Head Road. One of the variances that we seek is for the road access because it's in violation of the lot width requirement of 100 feet. So that is one of the variances that we're asking for. The need for the variance is obvious. The site is designed that way. The property is titled in that manner, and it's the only access point directly onto Old Northport Road. Approximately 3/4 of this site has been sand mined. This is an old sand mined property that has been was used for sand mining for a number of years. The sand mining has resulted in creation of a large cavern, essentially, a depression in the topography, which is a very important consideration with regard to this application. That is because the areas here where all of the development is proposed to occur are at a sea level elevation of approximately 116 feet. The surrounding properties to the east and to the north, the residential properties, the nearest residential properties, have elevations substantially higher. On the easterly side, the elevation at the property line is at 154 up to 160 feet. And on the north side of the property, elevation is from 156 feet up to 168 feet. This results in pretty much a minimum of a 40-foot height differential between that part of the site that will be developed, which is 40 feet lower than the surrounding residential property owners. As you may know, but we may not, I'll show it to you, ma'am. The northerly and easterly sides currently have buffering along the frontages that are along the residential portions. There's a plateau, particularly on the north side. There's really not much of a plateau along the east side. It slopes up to the property line. At the town board hearing, there was substantial discussion and substantial issues were raised by the neighbors with regard to the impacts of this particular project on them. And we explained to them about the differential in the elevations and the fact that we would volunteer, and we're volunteering again tonight, to put on a condition that we will supplement the plantings along both the easterly and northerly side so as to provide adequate screening so that there'll be no visual interference for the residential neighbors from both the north and the east. We've also volunteered, and we had a short meeting before this hearing with some of the neighbors, and there is dilapidated fencing in the area. Country Point has some dilapidated fencing on the boundary line. We're more than willing to either put up our own fencing at 6-foot stockade or similar nature, again, to protect them visually from any impacts of the site itself. Not that we feel that there really are any, but the fact of the matter is that we want to be good neighbors. We want to make sure that these people here surrounding us are as insulated as possible to our business model. Should be noted that the site is zoned light industrial, which would allow for other uses such as a bus station, warehouse, trucking station with fuel storage, wholesale distribution, and printing plants. We believe that any of these types of uses would be far more noxious and disturbing to the neighborhood than the proposal before the board here. The applicant has had its hearing in front of the town board for the special exception for the commercial recreation facility and is awaiting a decision from them, which I think is going to be contingent upon the decision that this board may make after this hearing. I have, again, submitted a revised statement justifying the variances sought, but I would like to give you a brief overview of the project itself so that you really understand why it is that we need the variances that we are seeking. Okay. The project itself encompasses 5 baseball fields. These baseball fields are located on the westerly side of the property primarily, away from the Country Point residences, and on the westerly side where there's a greater grade differential between the ground and the adjacent neighbors to the north, and where there already is a good amount of mature foliage, which is on the picture in front of the dais here. This is looking southerly. These are the trees that are adjacent to the northwest side of the property in the corner where the ball fields are.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop you for a minute.
Yep.
Okay, so we need to change tapes. So you're going to have to wait about another couple of minutes before we begin again.